New research has revealed a deeply troubling reality. Human brain tissue now contains significant amounts of microplastics and nanoplastics, raising serious concerns about long-term neurological damage. The findings recently published in Brain Medicine suggest that these plastic particles accumulate at alarmingly high concentrations, up to a spoonful per brain. More disturbingly, individuals with dementia show 3 to 5 times higher plastic levels than those without the disease, fueling fears that microplastics may be a hidden driver of neurodegenerative disorders. This discovery comes amid mounting evidence that microplastics are infiltrating every aspect of human life. Once thought to be an environmental issue primarily affecting marine ecosystems, microplastics have now been detected in human lungs, placentas, blood, and even in the brain. These particles originate from the breakdown of plastic materials used in packaging, textiles, and everyday consumer goods. With plastic production increasing exponentially, exposure is inevitable. But what remains uncertain is the full extent of the damage they may be causing to the human body, especially the brain. The study analyzed autopsied brain samples from 2016 to 2024, revealing a staggering 7 to 30 times higher concentration of microplastics in the brain compared to other vital organs like the liver and kidneys. Researchers focused on the frontal cortex, the region responsible for higher cognitive functions such as decision-making, memory, and problem-solving. Within these samples, they identified 12 distinct plastic polymers with polyethylene, commonly found in plastic bottles, food containers, and packaging, being the most prevalent. This finding suggests that our daily exposure to plastic materials is leading to a silent but dangerous buildup in the brain over time. One of the most alarming aspects of this research is the presence of nanoplastics, particles smaller than 200 nanometers, which may be capable of crossing the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier serves as a critical defense mechanism, preventing harmful substances from entering the brain. However, if nanoplastics can bypass this barrier, they could trigger inflammation, oxidative stress, and cellular damage, all of which are strongly linked to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Given that dementia cases are rising worldwide, with projections estimating over 150 million cases by 2050, the possibility that microplastics contribute to this epidemic cannot be ignored. The consequences of long-term plastic accumulation in the brain remain largely unknown, but preliminary data is deeply concerning. Chronic inflammation and oxidative stress are well-documented pathways in neurodegeneration, and microplastics may be accelerating these destructive processes. Additionally, the presence of plastic in neural tissue raises the possibility of interference with normal brain function, potentially impairing memory, cognition, and overall neurological health. These risks are particularly worrisome for individuals already predisposed to neurodegenerative diseases. Despite the grim findings, researchers have suggested a few simple lifestyle changes that could significantly reduce microplastic exposure. One of the most effective measures is switching from bottled water to filtered tap water. Studies indicate that drinking bottled water exposes individuals to nearly as many microplastic particles as all other sources combined, with an estimated annual intake of 90,000 particles per person. By switching to filtered tap water, this number could be reduced to just 4,000 particles, a nearly 90% decrease. Other sources of microplastic contamination include plastic tea bags, which release millions of microscopic particles during brewing, and plastic food containers, especially when used for heating. Heating food in plastic, whether in the microwave or through direct contact with hot surfaces, causes plastics to degrade, releasing even more microscopic particles. Avoiding plastic food storage, opting for glass or stainless steel containers, and using loose-leaf tea instead of plastic tea bags are simple yet impactful steps to limit exposure. The commentary in Brain Medicine stresses that urgent action is needed to assess the long-term consequences of plastic accumulation in human tissues. Researchers emphasize the importance of establishing exposure limits and developing strategies to prevent further contamination. Some early investigations suggest that sweating may help the body expel microplastic compounds, But whether this is an effective detoxification method remains unknown. If left unchecked, this issue could escalate into a major environmental health crisis. The widespread infiltration of plastic into the human body is no longer a hypothetical concern. It is a present and pressing reality. While regulatory bodies have begun addressing microplastic pollution in water and food supplies, these efforts may be too little, too late. The dramatic rise in plastic contamination within just 8 years, from 2016 to 2024, demonstrates that exposure is rapidly worsening. Without immediate action, future generations may face even greater health risks, with neurodegenerative diseases becoming more common and severe. The presence of a spoonful of plastic in the human brain should serve as a wake-up call. If plastic is accumulating in the very organ that defines who we are, our memories, thoughts, and consciousness, then the consequences could be irreversible. The scientific community is now calling for expanded research into the impact of microplastics on brain function. But in the meantime, reducing exposure should be a top priority for individuals and policymakers alike. The long-term effects of plastic pollution may only now be coming to light, but the responsibility to act is immediate and undeniable.